I've always been a night owl, preferring the tranquil silence of midnight to the loud bustle of the day. So, naturally, when I had to travel for a conference, I chose the last train of the night, the 11:59 p.m. express. Little did I know, this journey would take me far beyond the bounds of the ordinary, into a realm of spectral horrors and ghostly whispers. The train was unusually empty, with just a handful of passengers scattered throughout the carriage. A sense of unease crept over me as the train began to move, its wheels rhythmically clacking against the tracks. The world outside was shrouded in darkness, punctuated only by the occasional flicker of distant lights. As the journey progressed, a thick fog began to envelop the train. It was unnatural, almost sentient, as if it were trying to communicate something. I pressed my face against the cold window, trying to peer through the swirling mists. But all I could see was an endless expanse of gray. Suddenly, the train jolted violently, sending a shiver down my spine. The lights flickered and then went out, plunging the carriage into darkness. A collective gasp rose from the passengers as we all reached for our phones, their dim lights our only source of comfort. It was then that I noticed something peculiar. Despite the train still moving, the landscape outside remained unchanged. We were passing the same tree, the same abandoned building, over and over again. It was as if we were stuck in a loop, a never-ending cycle of the same eerie scenery. Panic began to set in among the passengers. A woman in the seat opposite me started to pray, her words a whispered plea for deliverance. An old man clutched his hat to his chest, his eyes wide with fear. I could feel my own heart racing, my mind racing with possibilities. That's when the first apparition appeared. It was a faint outline at first, a shimmering figure in the fog. But as it drew closer, it took on a more defined form. A young girl, no older than 7, dressed in a tattered Victorian gown. Her eyes were hollow, her face expressionless as she floated alongside the train, keeping pace with us. Then came more, one after another, a procession of ghostly figures, men, women, and children, all trapped in a perpetual state of sorrow and despair. They reached out towards the train, their fingers mere inches from the glass, their mouths moving in silent screams. A cold realization dawned upon me. We were no longer in the world of the living. The train, our metal chariot, had somehow crossed over into a ghostly dimension, a purgatory for lost souls. The passengers huddled together, seeking solace in each other's presence. We were a diverse group, strangers brought together by fate, united in our fear. A young couple held each other tightly, their love a small beacon of light in the darkness. A businessman, usually so confident and self-assured, was now reduced to a trembling shell of his former self. As the night wore on, the apparitions grew more intense. They began to interact with us, tapping on the windows, their ghostly fingers leaving trails of frost on the glass. Their mournful wails filled the carriage, a symphony of the damned that echoed in our ears. I tried to communicate with them, pressing my hand against the window, but they seemed unaware of my presence. They were trapped in their own world, a world of endless suffering and regret. Hours passed, or perhaps it was minutes. Time seemed to lose all meaning in that place. The train continued its relentless journey, the scenery outside unchanging, the fog as thick as ever. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it ended. The fog lifted, revealing a clear night sky filled with stars. The train slowed to a halt, coming to rest at a small deserted platform. We had arrived at our destination, though none of us knew where we were. The doors opened with a hiss, and we stepped out onto the platform, our bodies weary, our minds numb with shock. The train, our phantom carriage, gave one last mournful whistle before disappearing into the night, leaving us alone in the silence. We were back in the world of the living, but we were changed, forever marked by our journey on the phantom train. We had seen the other side, glimpsed the realm of ghosts and spirits, and it had left its mark on our souls. As I walked away from the platform, I couldn't help but look back, half expecting to see the train reappear. But it was gone, vanished into the night, a ghostly memory of a journey into the unknown. And I knew deep in my heart that I would never be the same again.